Uh, I guess most of the points as touched by Mr. Dinesh and Mayur is obviously as much relevant for the IT space also. However, what made us much more resilient and trying to be on the roads in terms of continuing our business continuity for the first 45 days when the entire country was in a lockdown was due to essential goods, which we had at that point in time managed to have hospital and health medical equipment. So we could have this advantage of keeping certain warehouses open in certain parts of the country. But one needs to really understand how the ecosystem was highly unstructured. Okay, so as to figure out how, even for essential, it had to have so much. Forget the approvals on one side, just to have the truckers, the owners, as what Mayur had said, when people safety was most important, duty was always the next. So trying to get any of these organized and bring it to a certain shape and form, with all the best abilities, it took us about 4 to 7 days time to try and get some freight moving for the most toughest part of the game. And just to give you an insight, from our perspective of the business, the telecom and the BFSI continued to be essential, who could probably get a whole lot of approval from MHA to move goods because their digital operations cannot suffer. When the entire world was sitting inside, the digital operations on payments coming in and going on, because none of them was venturing for taking a post-dated check and going and depositing it to the bank. So everything was trying to go towards getting digital payments done. Those who were all in the physical mode had to be moved to the digital mode. And if you look at the distribution point, for us, cash flow became the biggest point of concern because there was so much of payments which had to go before March 31st for us to make a fairly good balance sheet, and continuing also in terms of balancing cash flow, nothing was coming in. So to all of that extent, I think the first 45 days was obviously done with a whole lot of resilience. And no matter whatever the best efforts to move the essential goods, I need to say it took us a lot more time than what a business as usual would have been. So I think, but as what Mr. Dinesh said, post May 15th, I think slowly the channels were opening up. I guess, as he said, about 60 to 70% of the SEM ecosystem is slowly coming back to life. I think by June end, I guess most of these have started operating in a certain. I'm not saying it's still come back to the pre-COVID times, but it's still a lot more to be brought in, considering the laborers, the workers, the truck fleet owners and drivers. I don't think all of them are in a single plane or in a single platform. I find it extremely difficult to try and coordinate. It's so much of unstructured to structured. It's still, I think there's about 70-30 between unstructured and structured. So largely, I think if these kind of emergencies, if these kind of contingencies play out in the times to come, we just have to figure out whether the entire supply chain ecosystem can be in one single backbone to try and see how all the coordinates can be in a single platform, like the way if you folks would have looked at the hospitality and the aviation segment. I guess it's so wired up together as it's very different in today's time. They're completely outblasted, current given the current situation. But I guess at some point in time, if we can get supply chain in this IT backbone, like the way the hospitality, aviation industry, and the traveling tourism industry is connected, well connected together, I think it would help us to try and alleviate our pains in these kind of tough times. Is a view. So I just thought I'll just leave it with that.